Welcome back to 49ers Training Camp Rewind, where we are recapping everything you might have missed in the 49ers' second block of training camp practices. And as always, we are joined by two members of the 49ers. This time around, we're going one offense, one defense. Cornerback Jason Verrett, and we will also be joined by wide receiver Mohamed Sanu. But before we get them here to join us at the desk, let's recap what you might have missed this week at training camp practices. Following Sunday's scheduled off day, the 49ers resumed training camp practice at the SAP Performance Facility, capping off their second block of practice. Now, last week we saw a number of 49ers return to the field, but in a limited capacity. Well, that changed this week as a few members of the 49ers joined the squad in full team drills. Dee Ford and Javon Kinlaw, who were both limited to individual work last week, saw full looks at 11-on-11 work this week. And the same goes for wide receiver Jalen Hurd, who got his first crack at full team drills on Tuesday. The 49ers have all three on a limited rep count in order to monitor their workload as they're adjusting to full team work. Now, Nick Bosa is still on the field with the 49ers, but has been limited to individual work for the time being. Now, one of the biggest storylines of the week is that the pads have finally come on. San Francisco held their first padded practice of the week, only ramping up their camp sessions. There were a number of moments that favored both the offense and the defense. So let's start with the 49ers D. How about a play of the week? Another pick from camp from the highest paid linebacker in the league. I'm talking Fred Warner. He continues to prove that the 49ers made the right decision in deciding to keep him in red and gold through the 2026 season with an interception in the end zone during red zone drills. And how about this one on offense? Listen, it's been widely publicized, but we're going to recap it anyways. Trey Lance proven why the 49ers moved up to select him number 3 overall. Boasting that strong arm, the rookie launched a beauty of a deep bomb to wide receiver Trent Sherfield during full team work this week as Lance broke out of the pocket and hit Sherfield in stride for a 50-yard touchdown. The 49ers have also been unleashing the rookie's athleticism with a number of quarterback design runs, including a few rushing touchdowns for the Rook. And a guy who has been a witness to everything we've seen on the field, Jason Verrett, joining us for our training camp rewind. Jason, before we talk a little bit about the 49ers quarterback position, how have you been? How has your offseason been? How has the start of camp been for you? Just give us the details.
Our offseason has been good. I finished off with a good year last year, first time in about 3 years that I went into offseason healthy. So I was able to take my rest and then also get back to grinding. OTAs went well, and the start of training camp has been good. I'm just trying to look forward to keep being consistent and going, trying to do what I could do.
We're going to put a pin in that because I want to come right back to you coming off of that 2020 season. But let's start with what's going on the field. The biggest news, obviously, is you have Jimmy Garoppolo, you have Trey Lance. You're a guy, you get to kind of peep them out a little bit while they're on the field. But what's been your early impressions of Trey Lance?
Good, man. I saw a lot in OTAs, but I knew him having a summer to kind of learn the playbook more and then coming out here. And I think Jimmy's actually helped him a lot too, just from a veteran presence, just seeing the way that Jimmy approaches practice. But Trey showed a lot of great throws for the last few days of training camp, and I'm excited to kind of see what he can do in preseason.
And then everybody has been talking about the way Jimmy has come back to not just training camp, but also OTAs. They've been saying it's a different air about him. It's his confidence. What have you seen out of Jimmy Garoppolo that might have been a little bit different in years prior?
He just looks like a guy that's pissed off. He's coming in with tremendous confidence, and also he looks healthy. Obviously last year he dealt with the ankle injury, and as a player that's experienced injuries, sometimes that could take away from your confidence. So seeing him healthy, seeing him make a throws that we haven't seen the last few years that him make, you can just tell it's the confidence and sense of urgency that he has in his game.
Let's talk about your confidence. You talk about this stellar 2020 season that you're coming off of. You're coming into this year, your first offseason coming in healthy. How's your confidence? What did you do this offseason just to prepare yourself for a redo, not even a redo, but to step up and build up upon what you did last year?
Yeah, so on the offseason, man, I studied a lot of my film that I had from last year, just trying to see what I could get better at. A guy that, coming off of 3 injuries and not being out there and then trying to showcase that in 2020, I felt that I had a hell of a season to come back, but it's all about can I do it again? So I tried to study a lot of my film, and then on top of that, watching other guys around the league. And then so my mentality just going into this year's camp is trying to be consistent as possible. So that's just the way I'm approaching each and every day.
Okay, and you're not just coming into this camp with this mindset of being consistent, but you're also coming into this camp with a new number. So we went from 22 to 2. Okay, how are we feeling about 2?
Yeah, 2, man. I mean, that's why I started with in college, and you know that was the guy that, you know, the number that made me. And so I felt that once we was able to transition back into that, I could go back to that Fever Island, what I started at TCU. So.
Going back to Fever Island, but looking at this 49ers cornerback group, you know, you have some people that are questioning this group. You know, are they too thin? Like, are these guys proven? You're kind of the elder statesman of the group when you look at, you know, this entire roster on paper. But why should people be excited about this cornerback unit?
Because I felt last year, you know, even though we dealt with a lot of injuries, we still were a top 5 secondary. So that's always going to be something that we can roll into this season with. And then now getting the guys back who were hurt on the front to help, you know, rush and cover go together. But also with the addition of Corey, Coach Corey that we got, you know, he's a guy that's coming in with tremendous confidence. And, you know, as you can see with the young guys and the way that they're playing, the way that everybody's stepping up and not missing a beat with the guys that we do have out. So, yeah, I definitely think you should be excited about this group, and, you know, we're looking to dominate.
Yeah, and you guys have a little bit of a challenge, or not even really a challenge, but this back and forth battle that you guys are having with the 49ers receivers. You know, there's a lot of also questions about the 49ers receiver depth, but what have you seen out of some of these guys? And in particular, I'm looking at maybe some of these younger guys. You see the Deebo Samuels, the Brandon Ayuks, but what have you seen out of them?
Well, with both of them, Brandon and Deebo, both young guys. BA is a guy that, you know, you can see a lot of similarities from Devontae Adams, Julio, Keenan. You can see all of that, and he's a guy that's trying to put it all together. And, you know, I seen him work his ass off in summer over the break, and well with Deebo. Deebo came in and seemed like he's a lot lighter. He's running explosive in and out of his cuts, but also a guy with having Mohamed Sanu, who's been around the league for a long time, been with a guy like Julio Jones, veteran presence, so he's kind of helping those guys, teaching them how to be a pro. And I think BA and Deebo and even Sanu, they've shown just consistency throughout the entire training camp. So it's been fun to have a battle with.
All right, putting you on the spot. You know, we're about a week into this, a little over a week now, but who's been your favorite receiver to cover in camp?
BA. Brandon Ayuk for sure, just because, you know, it's a guy that, you know, I'm trying to learn some things from. And I know he's trying to learn things from me as a veteran that I am and been around for a long time. But he's just a guy that I could see a lot of potential with. So we having those battles, and, you know, he get me and I'm getting him. It's only going to help us both elevate.
And when you look at, you brought up Mohamed Sanu, and I kind of compare your situations because you being one of the longest tenured corners in this locker room, you have a lot of young guys. You have a couple of rookies that might be looking up to you for questions, but also it's the same thing with Brandon and Deebo and looking up to Mohamed Sanu. Have you noticed that leadership out of him?
Oh, absolutely. And you kind of could just tell with the way that he even came back, because the guy that we saw last year kind of looked like Sanu was older, you know, and not really looking as explosive. But just the way that he came in, I think that kind of put a chip on Brandon and Deebo's shoulder, like, look at this old guy coming in looking young, so we got to kind of match his intensity. So just the way Sanu is approaching each and every practice, you know, I just try to match that same energy, even though he's been around the game a few years longer than me. But having somebody like that just knows how to practice, man, can always bring, you know, everybody up.
Yeah, I think Jimmy said it very well. He said Sanu's looking pretty good. I'm going to paraphrase what he said right there. But Jason, appreciate the time. Thanks for stopping by. And we're going to toss to a little bit of what Jimmy and Kyle Shanahan had to say about the wide receiver. And we'll be back with Mohamed Sanu.
I think he's in such a better spot. I think you ask our players and anybody who's watched him, he looks like the guy I remember and not the guy that we had for those week and a half or whatever it was. And looked great today too. So hopefully he can keep it up and keep it going.
The attention to detail Mo brings is very unique in the receiver position. Having his experience around and hearing him talk to guys, it's really cool. Yeah, it's very similar to Emmanuel. He's looking good, man.
Well, you heard it right there. Your quarterback and your head coach speaking very highly of you, Mohamed Sanu. Welcome to 49ers Training Camp Rewind. I mean, just listening to that, how does that make you feel? That they're looking at how you're coming in and you're looking darn good, to, paraphrase.
Thank you. It feels pretty good. I mean, you work hard all off season to be prepared to help the team in any way possible and, have a big impact. So it feel like the work's paying off, and just got to continue to stack the days and do my part.
Hard work paying off. So going back to Kyle Shanahan, speaking of you, he was talking about how you guys kind of have that relationship where you were able to reach out to him this offseason, show him what you were up to. Detail that relationship between you and Shanahan, which dates back quite a few years.
Yeah, me and Kyle have known each other since 2016 when he brought me to Atlanta. And we've always had a tight relationship because he's one of the coaches that keeps it real with you and always wants you to get better. And, you know, I love that. I try to get that feeling from him every time. So I appreciate him for all of that. But it's easy to be able to reach out to a coach and them tell you honestly, like, hey, this is what it is, this is what it's not it is. And I appreciate that from a coach.
Thinking about your time in Atlanta to rejoining the 49ers now, what's changed with Kyle Shanahan? I know people say that his swag has remained consistent, but in your eyes, what's changed?
I mean, definitely his swag remains consistent, but he's just grown as a person. He's way more mature mentally as a leader. Like, you see him taking charge and knowing how to run a team and how to keep the team going in the right direction. So it's pretty cool to witness.
So looking at just you being with the team for that moment last season and then now having that offseason to really focus on yourself, what changed? What did you do just to prepare yourself for this 2021 season?
Just got to basics, got my trainer. Me and Drew, we put in the work in the off season. Spent time talking with my mental trainer, and we got our mind, our focus, and how to make sure we're ready to go.
So you are currently catching passes from two quarterbacks, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it, Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. What have you seen out of the two of them?
And Jimmy and Trey, they're both special and dynamic in many different ways. Jimmy's out there slinging it and throwing dots and, you know, making plays, putting in places where it's supposed to be, and making it possible for the defense to react. And Trey's doing the same thing, but in a athletic, young boy swag way. Is totally different. And it's fun to see those guys go out there and put in the work that they put in all offseason and seeing it come out to the field.
Now, talking about you on the field, you know, everybody's been talking about the way Jimmy's come in and he's looked confident, and they've talked about how you've come in and what you've been able to do on the field. But do you have a favorite play of camp so far?
I don't even know for real, because it's like the team's made so many different plays, and like seeing them all, like it's cool to witness, because it's like you see everybody's hard work and you see everybody's putting their all into becoming better. So it's cool to witness. I want to say like one play is greater than the other, because each play has its own significant greatness.
Or you're being modest and you're a playmaker, so it's just all of them. That's why, right?
Precisely.
All right, well, let's talk about this 49ers wide receiver group. You're almost, if I'm not mistaken, you are maybe the elder statesman of the group. You have a younger group of receivers under you, but Deebo Samuel spoke with the media, Brandon Ayuk spoke with the media, and they were both talking about how they look to you for that veteran leadership and that veteran presence. But what's your relationship with some of these younger guys, and how do you kind of view the depth at the wide receiver position right now?
I think we have very, very great depth. We got a lot of guys that can make plays in that room, and it's going to be excited to see what we were able to accomplish this year as a unit. Brandon and Deebo are special in their own way. Like, it's hard to describe them. Like, Deebo can run as fast as he can for how big he is. It doesn't make any sense. And Brandon, to move the way he moves and his cat-like ability to pounce one way and move the other way, snatch a ball, is pretty ridiculous. Not to say his long arms and big hands, but he does what he does. He's a special kid, and you just see him growing every day. Every day he's just investing in himself, and it's cool to witness.
And it's not just the receivers that you've grown really close to, but looking back at a miking that recently came out, Raheem Mostert and yourself seem to have a little vibe. Tell me a little bit about Mostert and maybe the running backs and just maybe the pieces that you've really been able to connect with this offseason.
I've just been spending time with my teammates, getting to know them, getting to understand them, giving them gems here and there, because, you know, I've been around football a long time, and just tell them how to understand themselves, how to understand the game, how to understand their body, and how to progress and become better. Me and Raheem are grown very close. We talk every day, and he's just a great dude to be around. He works extremely hard, and I can't wait to see what he does. Like, it's gonna be fun blocking for him.
We love to hear it. Can't wait to see what you continue to do on the field. Also, Raheem Mostert as well. Mo, I appreciate the time. Thank you for stopping by Training Camp Rewind. And for everybody that is watching, just a reminder, a couple of things coming up. John Lynch will be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend. And we'll have highlights and recaps of that all over 49ers.com, so make sure you stay tuned to that. Also, Training Camp Rewind will be back on the next player off day, which is Monday. This coming Monday, you can catch 2 new 49ers joining us here at the desk. And the very last thing, I was talking about Sanu and Mostert and what they look like on the field, so I might as well leave you with a little piece of Raheem Mostert's miking, which you can catch in Brick by Brick, which airs this Wednesday, August 11th. Check out more of that. But with that, Mo, go ahead and hit us with the miking.
What y'all want me to do? There's a whole lot of bean talk. What you want me to talk about? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hey, y'all here with your boy Mo Sanu. I just came and dropped a little bean talk on y'all, man. Y'all keep it breezy, you know?
Hey, listen, Raheem, he's a wonderful guy, okay? Don't be talking about him, because he's a bad man.
Bad man. And that's a wrap. Cut. Scene.
Mm-hmm.